Welcome everyone to the COVID-19 webinar. We are thankful to you for the opportunity to have your time. We hope to provide helpful answers to your question in this 1 hour. I am Dr. Nidhi Rahatki, an internal medicine doctor at Stanford Hospital. Most of my family is in Delhi, and COVID has affected my friends and family as well. For this webinar, over 6,000 people registered, and we received over 1,000 questions. We read each of those questions. Given we have 1 hour, we will not be able to answer all the questions, but in the next 5 minutes, I will try to answer a lot of common questions with very quick answers. And then our panelists of expert doctors will dig deeper into some of the most important questions. The most common questions that we were asked were on vaccines, medicines for COVID-19, and the signs and symptoms. Please continue to send your questions through the chat box as well. Oxygen levels. So we think oxygen levels of 90% and above are good enough as long as the patient is not breathing too fast or looking too sick. We ask our patients to keep an eye on their oxygen level at home, and if they start breathing too fast or the oxygen levels are dropping quickly, then they should get more help. Fever. We tell our patients that if they have a fever, a temperature of 99.5 or over, then they can take Dola or paracetamol or Tylenol up to a total of 4 grams in 24 hours. We don't want them to get dehydrated fighting those fevers. We have not used steroids for breaking fever, and we will talk a lot about steroids with our panel of experts. In general, how a patient looks is more important than any test. If someone is breathing fast, feeling that they're not getting enough air, they have very less energy, they're making dark urine, or are very dehydrated, it can tell you a lot about how sick they are. If the patient has turned blue or gasping for air or breathing too shallow or has passed out, that means that they're really very sick at this point. Black fungus or mucormycosis, we think that it is likely due to too much steroids, and we will discuss a lot more about that with our panel. RT-PCR, depending on the local laboratory, the nasopharyngeal swabs, nasal swabs, or the oropharyngeal swabs, and even saliva tests are okay. RT-PCR may sometimes be negative in those with an active infection. The symptoms are more important. Chest X-ray or CT scan. We do chest X-ray for those with oxygen levels of less than 94% without the need for additional oxygen. We rarely did CT scan of the chest, only in those whose oxygen levels are just not improving after a few days or they are breathing extraordinarily difficult. We do complete blood count, kidney and liver tests in those who are needing oxygen when they first see a doctor. After that, if these first blood tests are okay, and the patient is doing okay, we don't repeat these tests. C-reactive protein, D-dimer, and lactate dehydrogenase or LDH. Because the values of these tests can be unpredictably high or low in patients who are very sick, these are not essential tests. How sick the patient looks and how much oxygen they are needing are much more important and helpful. We did not do interleukin-6 levels for our patients outside of research. Remdesivir, we used it only for those with oxygen levels of less than 94% without additional oxygen. It is not a life-saving medication, and it is okay if you don't get it. Steroids, we will talk a lot about steroids, but we advise it that we gave it to our patients only for those with oxygen levels of less than 90%. Ivermectin, favipiravir, and fluvoxamine. Because at this time, there is not enough data to show if these are effective medications, and there could be a potential for harm, we did not give it to our patients, even when remdesivir was not available in some of our hospitals. Convalescent plasma, we used it very rarely. It has to be given very carefully and would not recommend it being given at home. Tocilizumab, we rarely use it for those who are extremely sick. We will discuss a lot more about medications with our panel of doctors. We will also talk a lot about vaccines with our panel. At this time, we don't have enough data to know that if mixing different types of vaccines is okay or not. But so far, it appears all the current vaccines are effective against the variants, but they may not be 100% effective. And COVID-19 can happen despite the vaccine. But these vaccines may still prevent severe illness or death. We have posted a lot of resources on our Stanford Global Health website. We will put a recording of this webinar on this website also. Based on your requests, we will also put some of the suggestions for treatment on this website. Which day, what test, which medicine, what to watch out for in patients with mild, moderate, and severe disease.